My mom texted me that the family party was cancelled because of an emergency. It was supposed to be my cousin's engagement dinner, and I had even wrapped a small gift for her. I felt a little sad but didn't question it. I stayed home in my pajamas, watching TV and thinking how strange it was. But around 7 p.m, I noticed my cousin's bracelet in my purse, the one she'd asked me to hold for her a few days ago. I figured I'd just drop it off at her place so she could have it back. When I reached the house, everything looked normal from the outside. Cars were parked on the street, but I didn't think much of it. Maybe people hadn't heard the party was cancelled. I walked up to the front steps with the bracelet in hand. As I got closer, I heard music and people laughing. I paused. Then I stepped to the side and looked through the window. My heart sank. Inside, the entire family was there. My cousins, my uncle, even some old friends. Everyone was eating, drinking, taking pictures. They were all dressed up. My mom was laughing at the table, raising a glass like nothing was wrong. I froze. I just stood there, staring through the glass like I was outside a life I used to belong to. No one had told me. No one even cared to check on me. I wasn't late. I wasn't forgotten. I was left out, on purpose. I didn't knock. I didn't go inside. I couldn't. I just stood there for a moment longer, holding that bracelet like it meant something. Then I slowly turned around and walked back to my car. I didn't cry right away. I just felt empty, like a ghost watching people live. And the worst part wasn't the party. It was knowing that my own mum looked me in the eye and lied. Not because she had to, but because she wanted to. I stood outside the door for a long time, holding the small gift in my hand. My heart was beating fast. I didn't even know why I had come this far. Maybe I still hoped there was some explanation. Maybe I thought someone would come out and say it was a mistake, that they had been meaning to call me, but no one came. The music played on. The laughter got louder, and I stood there, staring at the door like it could give me an answer. I took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The sound inside dropped as soon as I stepped in. Conversation stopped. Glasses froze mid-air. People turned their heads toward me. It felt like time had paused, just for a second. I looked around at all the faces. Some looked shocked, others just stared. No one smiled. No one said my name. Then I saw her, my mum. She was sitting near the dining table with a plate of food, her eyes locked with mine. Her face changed in an instant. She looked scared. Not the kind of fear you feel when something bad happens, but the kind you feel when you're caught doing something wrong. I didn't say a word. I couldn't. My feet felt heavy, but I forced myself to walk further into the room. I walked past the decorations, the gift table, the laughter that had died down, and placed the small box I was holding onto the kitchen counter. Inside was the bracelet I had meant to return. No one asked what it was. No one thanked me. I turned and walked back toward the door. Still, no one said a word. My mum didn't stand up. My aunt looked away. My cousin, the one getting engaged, didn't even smile. I realized then that I had never been welcome here. Maybe I had been holding on to something that wasn't real. Maybe I was hoping things would be different, but they weren't. As I stepped outside, the cool air hit my face. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. That silence inside had said more than any words could. I wasn't part of them. I had just proved it to myself. The bracelet was back where it belonged, and I was done pretending I still belonged too. As I reached the front door to leave, something made me stop. My hand was already on the handle, but my feet didn't move. I heard voices coming from the hallway that led to the kitchen. They were talking like I wasn't even there. I don't know what pulled me in, but I stepped quietly toward the sound and stayed just out of sight behind the curtain near the stairs. I didn't want to listen, but I couldn't stop myself. I just couldn't deal with her tonight, my mum said, her voice low but clear. She's always so dramatic. She makes everything about her. My chest tightened. I waited, hoping someone would speak up for me. No one did. Another voice followed, laughing softly. Honestly, it's better this way. The vibe would have been off if she was here. I recognized the voice. It was one of my cousins. I had shared clothes with her growing up, helped her through a breakup once. And now she was saying this, like I was some kind of problem everyone was relieved to avoid. They kept talking, joking, moving on, like what they had done wasn't cruel, like I wasn't standing just a few feet away, hearing every word. My eyes filled with tears, but I stayed still. I didn't want them to hear me, didn't want them to know how much it hurt. I had heard mean things before, but this felt different. This wasn't anger in the heat of a fight. This was calm. This was planned. They had decided together to leave me out. I leaned against the wall and closed my eyes. The laughter continued behind me, but it didn't sound warm anymore. It sounded sharp, cold. I thought about all the times I had defended them, made excuses, tried to believe the best in people who never saw the best in me. Now I knew the truth. I wasn't too dramatic. I wasn't the problem. I was just the one they chose to talk about when I wasn't around. I was easy to blame. I wiped my face quickly and stepped away from the curtain. I didn't make a sound. I didn't want them to have the satisfaction of knowing I had heard. Some pain stays quiet. That night, mine did. I got into the car and shut the door slowly. Everything felt heavy. My hands, my chest, even the air. I started the engine and pulled away from the house. The road was quiet, but my mind was loud. I didn't turn on the radio. I didn't want any noise. I needed silence to think, even if the thoughts hurt. As I drove, my eyes started to sting. I blinked hard, trying not to cry. The streetlights passed above me like flashes of old memories. Each one pulled up something I had buried. I remembered one birthday, when I waited all day for a cake. My mum said she forgot to buy one. My brother had gotten a big party just a few weeks before. But for me, there was nothing. I told myself it didn't matter, but it did. Another time, they took a family photo at my aunt's wedding. Everyone was smiling. I was there, but somehow I didn't make it into the picture. I had gone to the bathroom, and they didn't wait. Later, I saw the photo in a frame at my grandma's house. My name wasn't even mentioned. I kept driving past familiar streets, thinking about all the small things that had felt wrong for years. Moments that I had told myself weren't a big deal. Times I brushed it off. Times I blamed myself. But tonight, it all came together. It wasn't just one bad moment. It was a pattern, a quiet kind of rejection that I had learned to live with. It became clear to me that I wasn't the daughter my mum wanted. Maybe she had hoped for someone different, someone easier, someone who didn't feel so much or ask so many questions. Maybe I reminded her of something she wanted to forget. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, not because I was angry, but because I was trying to stay steady. I didn't want to fall apart, not yet. The tears were close, but I kept them back. I thought about how much I had tried, how often I had waited for her to notice me, to say something kind, to be proud. And I realized, maybe she never would. The road was still empty. The night was quiet, but inside, something had changed. I was done pretending that things were okay. I saw everything clearly now, and for the first time, I wasn't going to look away. I reached home and sat in my car for a while, staring at nothing. I didn't want to go inside. I didn't want to sit in my room and feel more alone. I scrolled through my phone, not sure what I was even looking for. Then I saw his name, Dad. We hadn't spoken much in the last few years. My parents split when I was little, and after that, my mum never really let me talk to him. She said he was selfish, unreliable, not good for me. I believed her, or at least I wanted to, but something inside me told me to call him. I needed to hear a voice that didn't make me feel unwanted. It rang a few times, and I almost hung up. Then he answered. His voice was soft and unsure, like he didn't believe I was really calling. "Mia," he said. I didn't know what to say at first. I just sat there, holding the phone. Finally, I whispered, "Why did she lie to me?" There was a long pause. I could hear him breathing, maybe thinking about how much he should say. Then he spoke, slowly. "She never wanted a daughter, Mia," he said. "She wanted a second son. When you were born, she didn't even hold you." I didn't say anything. My throat was tight. "I fought for you," he continued. "I wanted to be in your life, but she made it hard. She told people you were too sensitive, that you cried for no reason. She made you sound like a problem." He paused again. "But you were just a child, a sweet one. I remember how you used to sing to your stuffed animals. You weren't the problem. She just didn't know how to love you." Tears ran down my face, and I let them. I didn't try to stop them this time. He kept talking. He told me about things I never knew. How he came to my school plays, but stood at the back because my mum told the teachers not to let him near me. How he sent birthday cards that I never received. How he had tried. Hearing all of that broke something inside me, but it also made a few things make sense. I had spent so many years trying to earn my mum's love. Now, I finally knew why it never worked, and somehow, even though it hurt, I felt less alone, because someone had wanted me, even if I hadn't known it until now. I stayed up most of the night. Sleep didn't come. My body was tired, but my mind kept turning. I went to my closet and pulled out a box I hadn't opened in years. Inside were old diaries, school notes and photos. I sat on the floor and started reading. The handwriting changed as I grew, but one thing stayed the same. I was always trying to understand why I felt so out of place. In one entry I wrote, "Maybe if I clean the house, she'll smile at me." In another, "Mum's mad again. I think it's my fault." As I read more, I started to see a pattern. Every time something went wrong, somehow I got blamed. When my brother broke the vase, I was told I should have watched him. When he failed a class, Mum said I distracted him. When I cried, she said I was being dramatic. The photos told their own story. At every birthday, my brother had a cake, balloons, and gifts. In mine, I stood quietly with one candle and no friends in sight. In group photos, I was always on the edge, barely holding a smile. I looked at old text messages on my phone too. Some from Mum were cold, others were full of guilt. "Why do you always ruin everything? Stop acting like a victim." She never asked how I felt, only why I made her life harder. It hit me then. I wasn't the problem in the family. I was just the one they used, the one they blamed. It made them feel better to put everything on me. My brother never got scolded. Even when he stayed out late or got in trouble, Mum defended him. "Boys will be boys," she would say. But if I made one mistake, it turned into a disaster. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a setup, a system. I had played the role they gave me without even knowing it. I sat on the floor for a long time. I held one of the photos in my hand and looked at my younger self. She didn't deserve any of this. She wasn't weak. She was alone. And she tried so hard to be good, even when no one saw it. I wasn't broken. The family was. And now I finally understood my place in it. Not as the cause of the pain, but as the one they chose to carry it. I stopped trying to fix anything. I stopped trying to explain myself or ask for love. I knew it wouldn't come. After years of pain, I finally felt something clear inside me. I wasn't going to beg anymore. I was going to prepare. Every day, I acted like nothing had changed. I smiled when I had to. I answered when spoken to. But inside, I was quiet and focused. I paid attention to everything they said. I started keeping records, just in case I ever needed proof. I saved texts, recorded phone calls, even took pictures when they weren't looking. It made me feel like I had some power now, even if it was small. I also started talking to my dad more, slowly, carefully. I told him I wanted to go to college, but I needed help. He didn't ask a lot of questions. He just said, "Tell me what you need." For the first time, I felt like someone was on my side. I applied to schools far away. I used my dad's last name on the forms. I didn't tell anyone, not even friends. I wanted a clean break, and I didn't want to risk anything getting back to my mum. I couldn't let her ruin this too. At home, I stayed calm. I didn't argue when she picked on me. I didn't cry when she said cold things. I didn't even flinch when she pretended to care in front of others. I let her play her part, and I played mine. But inside, I was already gone. My room became a small world of planning. I wrote lists, what to pack, what to sell, what to leave behind. I hid a folder under my mattress with important papers. I collected cash little by little, slipping it into a sock in the back of my drawer. Each day, I grew more distant. I no longer looked for her approval. I no longer reacted to her moods. I stopped telling her anything about my life. She noticed, but she didn't understand. She thought I was just being cold. Maybe she thought it was a phase. She had no idea I was leaving. I didn't need to scream or fight. I didn't want revenge in a loud way. I just wanted to walk away without turning back. That was going to be my payback, not letting them break me anymore, not giving them the chance. I was done being their puppet. I was planning my escape, and this time, it would be final. It was a quiet morning. I woke up before the sun and looked around my room one last time. I had packed everything I needed the night before. My small bag was ready. Clothes, papers, some photos, and a little money. I stood there for a moment, breathing slowly, feeling both scared and free. I knew today was the day. Everyone had gone out. They thought I was still asleep. It was my birthday, but no one had said anything. No gift, no hug, not even a message. That made it easier to leave. I didn't feel wanted. I hadn't felt that in years. I walked through the house quietly. My heart was beating fast. I left my key on the table and placed a note beside it. I had written it the night before. Just a few lines, but enough to say what I had never said out loud. I didn't write it to get attention. I wrote it because I wanted to leave something behind that was honest. I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. I didn't look back. My dad had helped me plan everything. He paid for my bus ticket and promised to meet me halfway. He didn't ask me to explain too much. He just said, "I trust you." That meant more to me than anything. The trip across the country felt like a dream. I stared out the window most of the time, watching places pass by. For the first time, I felt like I was going somewhere that belonged to me. I didn't know what the future looked like, but I knew it wouldn't look like my past. When I reached the new city, I felt nervous. Everything was different. New streets, new voices, new smells. But I wasn't afraid. I was ready. My dad helped me settle in. He didn't ask about the letter. He didn't ask about the house. He just helped me get started. That night, I slept in a room that was mine. No yelling, no cold silence, no fake smiles, just peace. I lay there for a long time, listening to the quiet. I thought about everything I had been through. I felt pain, but I also felt proud. I had done something brave. I didn't tell anyone where I went. I didn't reply to messages. I didn't check social media. I had disappeared from their world. And for once, I felt seen by myself. I slowly started to settle into my new life. At first, it felt strange. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have friends or neighbors to talk to. But each day, I learned something new. I learned how to live on my own, how to cook simple meals, how to take care of myself without waiting for someone to yell or ignore me. It felt quiet, but in a good way. I started school again. I picked psychology because I wanted to understand people and myself. Sitting in those classes, I began to make sense of the pain I had carried for so long. I realized I wasn't broken. I had just lived in a broken home. That small truth gave me so much strength. In one of my classes, a professor talked about helping others who had been through trauma. Something about it stayed with me. I remembered what it felt like to be alone, to be confused and full of hurt. I decided to volunteer at a local youth center. It wasn't easy at first, but slowly I began to connect with the teens there. They didn't ask for much, just someone to listen. I gave them that, and in return, I felt seen for who I really was. Outside of school and volunteering, I began writing. At first, it was just for myself. Then one day, I shared a short version of my story online. I didn't think anyone would care, but people did. The post spread quickly. I started getting messages from strangers who said they felt the same way growing up. Some told me I gave them courage. Others simply said thank you. It felt strange being known for something that once made me feel so invisible. I didn't use my real name. I had created a new one when I moved, a name that felt clean and free. No one knew the old me, and for once, I didn't feel the need to explain or defend who I was. My life didn't become perfect. I still had hard days. But now, I had peace. I had choices. I had people who saw me, not as a problem, not as someone too emotional or too much, but as someone strong and kind. I built this life with small steps, and each one mattered. The best part wasn't being free from them. The best part was finally being free to be myself. The message came on a quiet morning. I had just finished my last exam and was sitting on my bed, feeling proud of how far I had come. My phone buzzed. It was a message from my brother. It said, "Mom's dying. She wants to talk." I stared at the screen for a long time. My fingers hovered over the keyboard. I started to type a reply. Then I stopped. I erased the words, tried again, then paused. A wave of emotions hit me. Confusion, anger, sadness, but not guilt. I thought about the nights I cried alone, the birthdays they ignored, the way my mom made me feel like a burden. I remembered begging for love that never came. That message wasn't about love or regret. It was just another way to pull me back into their game. I locked my phone without replying. I stood up, got dressed, and walked to my graduation. That day, I crossed the stage with my head high. People clapped. My real friends cheered for me. The ones who knew what I had been through. The ones who saw me for who I truly am. I smiled, not because I proved anything to my family, but because I didn't need to. I no longer needed their approval. I no longer carried their version of me. I didn't feel hate. I felt peace. I chose to move forward. I chose freedom. I chose myself. And for the first time, that was enough. Do you think I made the right choice by walking away for good? Or should I have replied to my brother's message and given my mum a chance to talk? I'd really love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments. And if stories like mine speak to you, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss the next one.